Preparing live. Your meeting is now live on YouTube.
Right.
Let us see. Waiting to get the notification. All right. Yes, we are officially live on YouTube.
Live on the tubes.
Yeah, let me share this real quick. Give us a second. Live. It's so crazy the fact, like, bro, right now, live to the whole world.
Live to the whole world.
Technology is a miracle.
It's amazing.
All right. Let me share this real quick.
I'm just talking. I'm not logging in YouTube.
Okay. Hold on. Let me copy this real quick. Live on the YouTube. All right. Let me tag y'all.
Switch it up. I'm on a slow computer too.
Bro, I don't know what's going on with the internet. All right.
All right, forget.
We are live. Who we got? We got at J Blunt. Hey, we got at Fred Green.
And we have at Brian
McGee.
At Beyond.
Biting his bottom lip. Yo, what? I knew it, bro. I never seen him do that. I never seen him do that.
Did you see it? Did you see it?
And this joint recording live. Oh, they're going, no.
Where you at, Brian? What's your name?
Mr. Investor.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
You changed it up.
You're just gonna change your name on it. All right. Disrupted. All right, we're about to be live. I mean, we're live now, but we're about to be ready to go. I'll just tag you guys. Can you guys share it? All right. We're live. We're live with no jive. Let me hit record, and then we will be all set to go. Yo, I looked at our last video. We had some trolls later, because we was talking about the Aubrey thing.
Yeah.
So then later we had some pretty interesting.
Some trolls on
YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, great. That's good.
I my patience for.
What were you talking about?
We talking about the shooting.
Oh yeah, you know that's gonna happen.
So they came through.
That's why.
Came through and blessed us. All right, here we go.
Wow.
Hey, don't make me pull out mine.
Oh my gosh. Don't get
What?
All right, here we go. Episode, I lied last week too. I think this is actually episode 65 of the Disruptive Faith podcast, where we're having honest and necessary conversations that you might not be having at your local Sunday morning service. I'm one of your hosts, Tech Ouch, along with
J Blunt,
Fred Green.
And we got a special guest today.
Hello there.
Brian, Mr. Investor McGee.
Say it right.
Amen. You're not still a personal trainer, right? So I can't say personal trainer.
He is. He's still a trainer.
Nah.
Long-time personal trainer. Doesn't personal train anymore, right?
Correct.
Just does real estate investment.
Nah, he's still training. Come on, Brian. You did a Zoom the other day.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Zooms. Go.
I did do a Zoom for my previous MoFit family just to reconnect with them. But no, I'm not.
Bet. All right, just to be clear, if you need personal training, hit up Brian McGee.
Yeah.
I'll connect you to the right people.
All right. How was you guys' week? Pastor Green, how was your week, sir?
The week was good. Nothing. My son. I told y'all last week. My son's birthday. My sister's birthday was last Friday. Turned out great. He enjoyed it, so it was good. Good week.
Amen, amen. Pass the blunt.
Yeah. I don't even know. What's today? Thursday?
Yeah.
Man, the days it's weird.
It's flying.
You look
It's
up
blended.
and it looks like it's going slow,
Crazy.
and then one day it looks like it's going fast.
It's insane.
Actually, my art business picked up a little bit.
Hey.
So
Hey, that's what's up.
I'm doing some stuff with that for Father's Day, and that's been good. I'm still taking my business class with Bruce Goodwin.
Hey.
Pastor Bruce. So yeah, it's been a good week though. Oh, and I finished my 100-mile challenge officially.
Hey.
You was killing that though, man. You were doing like 8 miles, 10 miles a day.
He was.
Yeah, between
Crazy.
5 and 7, I guess average. But I officially finished. I think I got like a total of 115 miles for the month. So that's
crazy.
good. My
you
wife
still
is
walking?
close. Yeah, because I'm walking with my wife too, and she's only like 3 miles to be done. So she's got like 97 miles to. So, and then next month, I got a whole nother challenge someone invited me to. So I'm just going to try to keep rolling with it.
Okay.
Bad. That's what's
up, man.
What kind of shoes are you wearing? Like, what's your...
Oh, you don't want, if I throw my feet up on this joint,
I know them Jones have to be like a good set of walking shoes.
Nah, I just wear some Adidas I got from Ross for like $22.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and they work. So,
yeah.
Brian McGee, how's your week going, sir?
It's been good, man. It's been productive. It's been a very productive week. Productive is always good in my book, so I have no.
All right, good. My week has been good. For those who don't know, we talked about it last week. I was waiting to see if I had COVID-19 because I went to the doctor, found out I had pneumonia, had to do a test. Praise God, I don't have COVID-19. So I found that out. It's good. I can think Brian and Fred know, but I think I should let the world know. I feel like this is what I'm saying. People were hitting me, and I was kind of ignoring them because when they talk to you and they know you're okay, people stop praying for you. So Brian wasn't praying for me. A bunch of people wasn't praying for me because they was like, "He all right, all right." So what I did was
you held back the information.
I just disappeared. If the last thing you hear somebody say they got COVID, you can't reach them, you'll be like, dang, bro, I need to pray. But I decided, you know what? I need to teach people the importance of prayer. So I've recorded I
remember this.
I had a recording of my wife saying, "This is Debbie." And I was on a roll calling people that I thought wasn't praying. I called Brian McGee. He didn't care. He just started laughing. He's like, oh, Tech is dead. He just thought it was hilarious.
That's
Now,
not true, man.
I did get one person when I got him, made me feel bad. I called David, my friend David.
You got him?
Oh my God. I called David and I played the recording. It was like, "This is Debbie." He's like, hello. It's like, "This is Debbie." He's like, hello. And then I came on the phone. He did not think it was funny at all. I was dying laughing. But David didn't think it was funny. He would have punched me in the face. I was like,
really would have enjoyed hearing that.
Maybe I shouldn't do this.
Oh my God.
It's because people don't be praying.
That's so mean, bro.
I told him that was cold.
Hey, guess what? I ain't gonna say nothing. God forbid that phone call ever have to happen.
See,
for real.
that's what I'm saying. But people need to learn the importance of prayer.
Nah, you gonna learn the importance. So,
hey,
tell
them how you know the people that they pray for. He just has like a prayer spider
I got a
sense.
sense.
He just
I know when people not praying.
He don't know.
I just know y'all not praying. Okay. All right. You got to be praying for people. Okay. Yeah, that's the importance of prayer.
You to do the fake your death and then like
Machiavelli.
I really want to hear Dave's response to that.
No, I wish I would have recorded it, but it was.
That's messed up. That's like a horrible prank. People really dying out here. Did your wife know why she was doing that?
She did. My wife is.
Oh.
I was just like, Debbie, can you just say this is Debbie? She's like, racist, that mean? Thanks. I started calling.
Thanks.
But God is good. Amen.
Nah, don't. No. You can't end it
You
with
can't
that.
follow that with God is good.
God is good. Praise the Lord. The moral of the story is you got to pray. Okay.
That was funny.
Pray for people.
Yo, if you, I'm now I'm a little leery about any new phone call. Like you, like, yo, something happened to my son or kids. Be like,
nah, bro. People don't pray. They gotta learn a lesson. All right, pray to keep the bad phone calls away. All right, I think that's it. Anything else? That's it.
you just horrible, bro.
Oh no. I mean, I'm a Christian out here.
A new low.
A new low. Hey, that's that new. All right, so before we get into the main topic, which we're gonna be talking about health today, which is why Brian McGee is sitting on a bench in matching gym attire.
Oh God.
Okay. Let's get into
of the professionalism of your podcast.
Hey man, we're here for you. Let's get into a great, not an oldie, but a goodie. Kind of new. We only do it twice. Segment called Fair or Pharisee.
Dun, 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 dun.
We look at the criticism of someone. Try to think objectively and say,
That was good, Jake.
is this fair? Or is this fair? Or am I being kind of a Pharisee? And so today, this is kind of an old story, but around the first time when there was stimulus checks, there was a pastor named Pastor Tony Spell or Pastor Spell. And what he wanted you to do is to give up your stimulus check. So I'm going to play the recording of Pastor Spell, and then we'll discuss and say, is this criticism fair or are we being Pharisees out here? So give me 1 second. All right, here we go. This is Pastor Tony Spell.
Hashtag Pastor Spell Stimulus Challenge. 3 rules. Number 1, April the 19th, 2020. It begins. Rule number 2, donate your stimulus money. Rule number 3, donate it to evangelists, North American evangelists who haven't had an offering in a month, missionaries who haven't had an offering in a month, music ministers who haven't had an offering in a month. I'm donating my entire stimulus, $1,200. My wife is donating her stimulus, $1,200. My son is donating his stimulus, $600. Hashtag Pastor Spell Stimulus Challenge. If you don't have a church, give through my website, www.ltcbr.com, Larry Tango Charlie Baton Rouge.com. I'm here on the Mississippi River. I'm here at Red Stick, Baton Rouge. Hashtag Pastor Spell Stimulus Challenge.
All right, so that was his stimulus challenge. He got a lot of heat for it. And so the question is this fair? Hold on. Does he deserve this heat or are people going to be Pharisees? Pastor McGee.
All right, so there was this. I remember when our church was located in Parkdale, right? I was going to church in Parkdale, and I remember coming home from church service, and I named these people the bucket ministry, right? It was these so-called pastors who would walk in the middle of the street when the light would turn red with buckets, and it infuriated me. Because 1, it was Sunday, and 2, it was the church out in these streets asking people for donations. The reason why it infuriated me is because I always felt like the church is tasked with the task to help the people or to give to the people or to nurture the people, to feed the people, and to provide the people with some of the things that they may need spiritually, physically, wherever we can get. And to see them out in the streets, just like connecting church on a Sunday afternoon, it's like, 1, where's your church? And why are you in these streets? And two, why are you knocking on these people's windows, just begging for change, like making the church look weak? So that infuriated me, and I kind of like relate that to this situation. I don't, there are a lot of individuals and families with the tragedy that's taking place with COVID-19 who are in need, and who are also very connected to God. We may have a deep relationship with God and feel, because of what he's saying, the need then to give their check and stay hungry. So I have an issue with that. I don't think individuals should give over their entire check. I think that they should seek God for the amount that they should give to the ministry that God leads them to give it to, and not put their whole check in this dude's website. So I disagree with it personally.
You think the criticism is fair?
I don't know the extent of the criticism that he's receiving. I'm because I kind of like, I'm in between when it comes to criticism. I think that people can over criticize and not look at their own. It's like one of those things where you take the pole out of your eye to help your brother with the speck in his. But so I don't know the extent of what type of criticism he's receiving. I just don't agree with what he's teaching.
All right. Pastor Blunt.
Yeah. I'm down for it.
Down for it? Why?
Let's do it. Nah, so all right. So I think that if you're able to afford it, like if you can afford to do it, which I think he probably is, which is probably why it's so easy for him to do that, to give it away, then whatever, it's a challenge. It's not like it's a necessarily like a call to do it. I guess this is what I'm hearing. It's not like a mandatory thing where he's forcing people to do it. But if you're able to do it and you have a desire to do it, then why not? You know what I'm saying? I think I do think that you should always pray before you give. But I like the idea of, like he said, I don't even think he said to give it to his church. I think he said give it to someone in the music ministry or a missionary, or give it to someone who hasn't, had a check in a month. And that's to say that if you haven't had a check in a month, then you should probably keep it for you and your family too. But I suppose if you can give it and you have a desire to give it, then why not? Especially if it's to someone who may not have been able to, like you said, haven't had a check in the whole month, and maybe you have, then why not? I didn't see anything too wrong with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. I feel like, well, no, I think because I mean, you could tell by the way he says hashtag that he probably has never used his own social media site in a long time, that is not aware how the internet works. So I mean, I think it was foolish the way that he said it and not being clear as far as like making those things clear, like, hey, if you need it, of course, but we're just saying instead of, for some people, instead of buying a new TV or buying something, whatever, I don't know, because then it's also stupid, because this is not like your tax return. Like a fair amount of Americans are unemployed. I could be making this up, but I think it was like 30%.
It's a lot.
It's absolutely insane the amount of people that are unemployed. So it's like, it'd be different if this was like something that we all get maybe every year, like it's your tax return. Most people, I mean, maybe it's an assumption, but most people who are getting the stimulus check probably would really need that. And I think maybe because he didn't need it, he was good. His assumption went in was that, and most people would probably be like him. But on the other side, our church is really connected to a lot of missionaries. And missionaries, I mean, people are going through here in America too, for sure. But missionaries are definitely going through, because they depend completely on churches paying for them to stay there. So a lot of missionaries, their churches have pulled their funding. And they pull their funding while they're stuck in another country. So you're stuck in another country during COVID,
Right.
Stuck in another country with no financial backing because the church either felt uncomfortable or they just could not do it. I mean, some churches just can't do it. So you're like stuck there. So I do get like, bro, I mean, if people don't need this stimulus, if they're just gonna do whatever with it, there definitely are missionaries and people in ministry who give their life for the gospel who could use it. But I don't know. So I don't know. I'm kind of in between. Pastor Green, what you think?
I think I agree with you in the sense of he could have maybe worded it better as far as like if you can. I think even throwing in part of your stimulus check instead of saying the whole thing. I think he could have framed it word wise, but I think I agree with the heart because like what Jason was saying, I don't think he specified his specific church. But then also, everything that he was mentioning, like the missionaries and music ministry. And I think his heart behind it, because during this time, as we know, like social media, we talked about this before, how the church is always behind about jumping on, using social media and everything like that. I think he was just trying to jump on the trend of challenges. That's big now. Like this is a challenge and everybody's doing it. So I think, he didn't execute it probably in the greatest way. But I think the heart behind the challenge is to kind of throw out like a big, tough challenge that would kind of benefit people in ministry. And I don't really have a problem with that. I think he could have added if you can, or a portion of. I think those were the two things I think he could have added to it. And he could have shot that inside. It was very windy outside. It was
That's how you know.
Fred was disturbed by the camera angles.
Yeah, I was like, oh man,
that man ain't never touched the iPhone.
No, granted, a lot of us probably 4G dogged our stimulus check anyway, and then a stimulus check here versus a stimulus check in Mississippi is night and day. I'm sure. Right. Yeah. You might could buy a whole house in Mississippi for $100. I don't know.
Yeah.
It go a lot longer there than
longer way.
Yeah. All right, just something to think about. I like the idea of fair Pharisee because looking at different things from different perspectives. Because I think a lot of us get our news. I mean, everyone gets the news from TV or the media. And sometimes you hear things through the lens of someone else first, and then by the time you get to you already riled up. I mean, he's definitely tripping. He's wilding, but I mean, I don't know. What you gonna say, Pastor Green?
No, I would just. You say he's tripping. He's wilding.
I think he's partly tripping. Yeah, like yeah, I think he's partly tripping. I mean, but I can see where he's coming from, though. But all right. Well, I guess that's it. Enough being Pharisees. Going to the main topic and the reason why Brian is showing his shoulders. Amen. Brian, do a pull up real quick.
Hey.
I knew he couldn't resist. He couldn't resist. He knew it. He's like, I know what he's trying to do, but I just can't resist.
No hair under the underarms or nothing. Wow. He's ready for a show.
But Brian is here. I think we had talked about it kind of maybe in passing, or we talked about talking about it. Just the idea of, again, we try to have conversations that are important conversations that might not be had in church or normal Sunday morning setting. And I think one of the important thing that we don't talk about at all, really, I feel like, is health. Like we don't really talk about health as Christians, and people in general are in rough shape, Americans, but I don't know. I just feel like Christians, we just be like giving them chips. God got me.
Giving them chips. God got me. Hey man, you spitting, bro.
that was
funny. But it's like we do need to begin to look at health. And I guess starting off dark and getting right to it. Like I mentioned before the idea of like all these ministers, like a lot of ministers. I mean, you can only control so much. Everything is in the hand of God. But like, could you have a calling on your life, be anointed, ordained, and then just die of freaking high cholesterol?
Of course, bro.
But that's crazy to me. Like you just
People die every day, B.
But I think it's different than like you like people die in car accidents, people die from COVID.
Right.
But it's like you have a gift and you have a calling on your life.
Right.
Could I interrupt that
Yes.
because of my diet?
I think so.
Is that the question?
Yeah, I guess. And just your thoughts around that.
Go ahead,
you want to
Jason.
go first? All right, so cool. All right, so I grew up. I think this is a big problem in the African American church, particularly. I grew up in church, and after every service, during the service, you smell the fried chicken.
Fried
you
chicken.
Smell everything. Like while you in church, you smelling
Green
it
beans.
walking. You smelling the cornbread and the ham, and you smelling it all, and you can't wait to get out of church to go down to the dining hall to get you a plate.
Amen.
So, I don't know what it is. I don't know where it stems from, but health in the Black church, I think that food, like, I don't know, it might stem from further down south, the way we eat, and just coming up and not learning, like you cook most of the time based on how your parents cook. And you learn most of the time based on what your family does. And I think for the Black church especially, I'm just going like the number one, fried chicken, bro. We fry everything. We fry so many things.
So delicious.
And it is delicious. However, those behaviors trickle down to us, your children, your children's children,
Right.
until you learn differently and you learn about nutrition, etc. But you have to break those habits. And until you break it, I think that it's just going to be one of those things. Like we could talk about health, and we could talk about wealth and prosperity, but when it comes to talking about gluttony and overeating and eating the wrong things, when your pastor is, I gotta say 400 pounds because 300 pounds is normal for me now.
Hey, go up a little bit.
When you talk about half a ton, but when he's because he's, you don't say nothing. You just don't say, you don't think about it because he's a pastor, he's a preacher, and his health is in jeopardy. But that's just one of those, what is it called? Taboo things, just something you don't talk about. Because it's so many of us. You look at T.D. Jakes, probably one of the biggest African American preachers. He battled with weight forever, for a long time. He still does. Then you look at what's the other guy with the skinny jeans? Still a big guy. Black guy.
Clown City.
What'd you say?
Clown City.
Come on, bro.
John Gray.
John Gray. Baby Jakes.
Baby Jakes.
So
lollipop legs.
What happens is that you almost teach people that it's okay to be a certain size. You teach them that it's not really important to focus on it because you can be big and still have an anointing. You can be big and still wear cool clothes, cool shoes. You can be big and still have the materialistic things, like it's possible. So the goal isn't to aim towards being healthier, because why? Like what's the benefit of it? Like they don't share their struggles with sleep apnea. They don't share their struggles with breathing at night. They don't share the shortness of breath. They don't share those things. In fact, back in the day, if you were a preacher and you were doing all of that, it was like, oh, he preaching now. Nah, you can't even breathe, bro.
Yeah.
But they made it look good. They made it sound good. So it's so much. It's so much. But you see it all the time, and you wonder why people have kidney failure on dialysis later on in life. But we have to unlearn some of the things that we've learned and just do it. Because food is a drug too. Food is a drug. I know we got relation issues. Oh, now you laugh, Brian. Okay. Like, nah, good.
I think another reason, and I know for me is this reason. Sometimes like you don't connect. Like we talk about Christianity, you talk about Jesus. You always focus, like a lot of times we focus on the spiritual, like not focusing on the like some of the stuff they talk about this world, being attached to this world. And for some reason, and I'll just speak for myself, it's just like that connection is like all spiritual. So sometimes you forget even the body, how important it is to take care of your body. And the mentality and the focus is on maintaining your spiritual man. Like, okay, am I reading? Am I praying? Am I connecting to God? And you don't realize it is also important to take care of your temple, take care of your body at the same time. So I think sometimes I think sometimes we put a lot of emphasis, or we don't talk too much about, and I don't have a study on it, but like how the physical and the spiritual, how they connect. Like I think it's important to, as we all know, take care of your body healthy. I mean, for practical reasons, without even getting deep, like you said, to be the suffer with diabetes and certain diseases that come from eating certain foods, to have discipline in that. I think those are things that we don't talk about, but we talk about more so of, the focus on the spiritual things. And I think sometimes we kind of put the spiritual things, like, like Jason was saying, as long I could still, serve in ministry and still be a certain size. Like it's not, we don't see that connection of how the physical, if your physical body, how it affects, or we don't think that it affects anything spiritual, when in fact that it can and it does. So I think that's another reason why.
I agree. And I think that, it's like the scripture, when the scripture says, I desire that you prosper even as your soul prospers. I think that not only, can it have a spiraling effect on your purpose, just like anything else, just like an addiction to alcohol or drugs can delay you from your destiny. I think that overeating and all that can have an effect on your destiny to an extent. And, not even take into account the mental aspect of just living a healthy lifestyle and how much, and how impactful that can be on your mental state, you know what I mean? And releasing things in your chemicals in your brain that make you feel more positive, that makes you feel better about yourself, that gives you energy throughout the day and helps you look at yourself differently and brings up your state of well-being. I mean, I think that, just having that overall confidence can assist you in sharing the ministry to an extent to where you're confident in your own self, to where you can go out and begin to talk to people, to where you can begin to speak to people more because you're confident in your appearance. I think that the people who don't have that confidence in their appearance can have a difficulty at times just speaking to people, just going out and witnessing to people because they're not confident in their own appearance. So I think that it has an overall effect, man. It's more than just, getting your blood pressure in check or getting your, your weight down to a healthy weight, but it plays such a huge part in the way that people can see themselves sometimes.
100%, bro.
Yeah,
that confidence is crazy.
Yeah.
And how that plays. Yeah, confidence can make you, can bury you sometimes.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I see people. I witness people transform just from changing their fitness lifestyle. I've seen people who have come in head hung, head down in depression and beat it. Just from physical exercise and seeing themselves do things that they didn't think they can do before, and seeing themselves transform from one individual to another individual just lifts the burden of depression, man. And I think it plays a huger part than we realize. And it's one of those things that should be addressed more because overall health is just as important as different aspects of health.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question. You weren't always the physical specimen you are today. I know we're all still a work in progress, but what got you into fitness from the beginning?
Me?
Yeah, of course, Tech. What do you think I was talking to?
Oh well.
Tech, I'll share it if you guys want. But when I was engaged in a lot of different activity before I got saved, right? So there was just a lot of stuff that I was doing with my free time before everything that I was doing just slowed down. And when that happened, that was working out was one of the things that I used to fill that time, as opposed to all the other crazy things. So it started off,
as opposed to fornicate. Can't fornicate no more. I would go to the gym. Okay, gotcha. It's opposed to
available.
Thank you. It's a way to release your frustration. And you know what's funny? When I first started working out, Tech was one of the people who would laugh at me like,
hey, look at him now. Look at him now.
I remember
who's laughing now, Eric?
We're talking about health, man. And this is a very story that I think, should go out in the importance of just health.
Yeah.
So I remember when Canaan, there was this rap group formed called Canaan. And Tech was in high school, I think. I think it was his senior year, or he was in college. It was beginning college. And
oh my God.
There was a time.
Uh-huh.
And this is college actually, and I think Tech knows what I'm talking about. Tech had these books, right here, for the multitude of classes. It was a stack of books that he had purchased to further his education in these classes. And
Amen.
One day, Tech got hungry. And,
I couldn't.
He took those books back to.
Oh, dang! You ate your education.
Where this is the beginning of the semester. This is laying out the syllabus. And, as the teacher was laying out the syllabus, he picked up the books and went down to the bookstore. And he returned all of his books.
Oh my God.
I remember coming to visit him that day and smelling a strong smell of China
mumbo sauce.
China chef, yeah.
He had like a 6-wing and fried combo.
Oh my gosh. I was hungry.
Good for about 2 weeks off of that.
No, that's the worst part. I paid like $100 for the book, and when you return it, it was a scam. I promise you, I paid like $100. I got like $10 back. I got like $10 back, and
that one bill.
They told you was gonna get $10 back, and you said okay.
I was hungry, bro. I was hungry. I was like, college is a scam.
Okay.
All right, I guess.
I mean, I'm not gonna use it.
That's hilarious.
Yes, that is a true story.
That was the end of his college education, right there.
To buy 5 ways of fries.
Hey,
that's hilarious.
On his sixth order, they gave him a cap and gown. he graduated from the local carrier.
Oh God, I don't receive that.
You're #1 customer. Hey, they put a chicken box on his head.
This is the problem with the church. I don't know. But no, that is true. That actually did happen. Now let me ask you a dark question, and then I'll go into this, because I feel like there's a new emergence of something weird that I guess we can talk about in a second. But honestly, how do you think your life would be different now, if you were out of shape,
TBB?
just to, Brian.
Well, you know what? It's like it kind of like back to what I said earlier. Is that it plays such a huge role for me in a lot of things, and because when you're challenging yourself and you physically can see yourself overcome something that was once difficult, then it translates to a lot of things. You know what I mean? Being able to see myself achieve things that I wasn't able to achieve before, maybe a week before, or 2 weeks before, and come to a place where I achieve it. It's just, it gives you that mental boost that you need and that you can apply to anything. It's once you have it, you can use it anywhere you choose to use it. And so it's one of those things that I was been able to acquire to now that, you know, it's just like, you know, if I'm determined to do it, then I'm going to get it done. Yes. And I can use that now. You know what I mean? Because I have attained visual proof of being able to do so. Wow. And that visual proof translates to another visual proof, which translates to another visual proof that I can just use as stepping stones to ultimately get to what I create as wanting to achieve. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so it's just, it's continual process and it doesn't change. And you know, I said this before, but standing in the mirror and being able to pick out things that I want to address and then addressing it, I can apply that to my life and seeing things that I want to address and then addressing it. Because it's that discipline is discipline across the board, period. I don't care where you use it. If you have the discipline to abstain from a certain food, then you have the ability to abstain from whatever it is you're trying to abstain from. Because you have created for yourself the ability to remain disciplined. And so now I can use that discipline that I've acquired from physical fitness into my life. And I can use it, I can pick it up and place it on whatever I choose to place it on.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, something really hypocritical that I do is, as a man who is 6'1", slightly north of 300 golden pounds. I have a hard time listening to preachers and singers who are out of shape. As an out of shape preacher, I just feel like you obviously lack discipline. And how come Jesus didn't help you in the kitchen? Now, granted, it's completely hypocritical because I am he. But I think it is a strong aspect of discipline, and it's this weird trend. I think it's so much nonsense. We're not to spend a lot of time on it, but I feel like some people listening might feel this, and that is this idea of like everybody has a shaming now. So now there's this idea of like fat shaming. You can't say that people are out of shape, or like I just was listening to some dude on a podcast talking about how there's like fat discrimination, like it's like discrimination against fat people. And it's just, I think as Christians, and it goes back to a conversation that we had earlier about like the discipline part, that we put the work so much on God that when it comes to the discipline part, we don't do it. Like, no, like it's a hard thing. Like I'm gonna keep it 100. The only thing I can think about right now is Jason describing that after church meal sounds delicious.
It was so good, bro.
And those 5 weeks of fries that I sold my book for. That's what's on my mind. If if circumstances was different,
I can't lie. That mumbo sauce description kind of got me.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
They don't got it out here, man. I'm gonna have to make a trip.
To the right location. Hey, my goodness, man.
Let's kick Brian off and finish this conversation.
He's go completely left. But I think it's hard. I think as Christians, one of the things that we don't teach is how to say no to something that you want. Like one of the things I tell my son all the time, which I'm a hypocrite because I don't do, is just because you want something or you want to do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should do it. And I think we teach so much, even when it comes to like this is left, but sex and different things. We teach so much that the desire of something is the sin. So by the time you have that desire, you feel like, well, I'm sinned anyway. I've been thinking about this thing. But we don't really teach that the desire of something can be there, can be strong, can be present, but you don't have to give into that desire.
Absolutely. I think it's something scary about that. What you mentioned as a father, because we're all fathers here, is that we can get away with a lot of things when our children are young, as far as what we tell them to do or not to do. But there'll come a day, if we're not careful to change our own ways, that they'll see that what we say and what we do don't line up.
That's a good point.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to really quick to piggyback off of that, I know that's one of the things that's been challenging me as, my son getting older. And, I started watching, how he watches me. And, sometimes it's not even on purpose. They just they just eat what you eat and drink what you drink. And, it just made me be more cautious of of what I'm putting in my body, and what example that I'm setting for them. So, I 100% agree with you, Jason.
So, but how do we start this journey, Brian? If you're a man who lacks a certain level of discipline, like myself, because the issue is, Brian, too, and maybe you may not agree, but you're wrong. You have a certain level. No, you have a certain level, I feel, of discipline that is admirable. That does, like you said, not only translate and the exercising, but also other areas of your life. But from your experience in working with different people, and even yourself, for a man, not me, someone who may lack a certain level of discipline, where do you start?
I was that guy, yo.
What guy?
He worked with me last year during our fitness challenge.
Oh yeah, sure. That is true.
Somebody need to shave their head. But
I did.
That's true.
I did. I sent y'all the picture.
No, you did. Go ahead, Brian.
But there is a going back to seeing people transform mentally along with their physical is as long as you're able to give yourself a chance, right? If you can give yourself a chance to bet on yourself just for a little while, then you're going to see a change. As soon as you start seeing that change, that's going to give you some added motivation to see more change. And you just keep on picking up on that momentum as you go until you end up where you want to be, right? It's the ability to believe in yourself just a little bit, just long enough to have the disappointments of not seeing a result in a week, if not seeing the results of a week and a half, maybe not seeing the results in the first 2.5 to 3 weeks, but just to keep on chipping away at it until you start to see that first little sign of results, until the shirt starts to fit a little bit looser and that belt loop hits the next loop. I think that's that added bit of physical motivation that people need to get them to that next level, which will get them to that next level. Because one thing about the fitness industry is that it can become very addictive. A healthy addiction, once you get into it, once you start seeing yourself do a little bit more than you can do yesterday, then you can see it working for you. And once you allow that to take application in your life, then that's just another stepping stone that you can continue to build yourself upon. So I would just say, believe in yourself just a little bit. Believe in yourself long enough to make some mark physically. And then that physical truth will begin to take over, and it'll push you to the next physical truth.
I'll add something. I don't know if I'm not in position to add anything, I guess.
Yes, you are, Black.
Looking at my body.
Don't lie to him.
Did you lose that time?
He not.
You lost like what?
44.
40?
Yeah, let's not talk about that. 44. 44. I lost it, and I went around the corner and found it. Picked it right back up.
But I'm gonna tell you, Blunt was in that joint in the morning and the evening, crushing cardio. Justin was sick because he would send me like the update, the photos of which was so I can help track his cardio. Blunt was dead serious. I think at some point you had to get to a point to where you felt like I gotta go to the gym today, right?
No. Well, all right. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So all right. So I was proud of myself because it's crazy. Because in the same year I've been the heaviest and the lightest I've almost ever been, but backwards, But anyway, my motivations were off. I just wanted to win. I didn't really want to lose weight. I just didn't want to lose money because I had money on the line. I had money.
And someone on here lost.
So I just didn't want to lose money. That was my only motivation. It wasn't about getting healthy or being fit, even though I did see the benefits of it and I appreciate it. I wasn't really focused on building the discipline of going to gym every day or working out every day or eating right. It was the mind connection wasn't there. It was just I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. Right. So so for me, and I'm reading about it in this book that Tech advised right here. I'm almost
The War of Art.
The War of Art.
Everybody gotta read that book.
And it's true that Brian told me don't look at the scale for like the first 30 days. And trust me, I did. And eventually my wife hid it from me because every morning she'd hear me put the scale down. I'd be like, man, what is going on? Like I was so frustrated that I wasn't losing weight. And I don't know what I was losing, but I was in there. And what I was doing, I wanted to see immediate results. I wanted instant gratification. And I think that even now, doing this 100-mile challenge, I'm trying to learn to develop habits that produce positive results. So just working on the habit or creating a habit versus creating results. Does that make sense? If I create the habits, that the results will come. Like not necessarily focus. It's hard to separate the two, but creating a habit of working out is more important than what comes about it. Because eventually you'll get there, but you have to separate yourself because everything in life, fast food, microwaves, ATMs, everything is the internet, everything is about instant gratification. And you almost have to pull your mind away from the idea of that goal. Even if the goal is to lose 10 pounds, you almost have to, like, you almost can't have a goal other than to go to the gym and do whatever the exercises you're supposed to do. That has to be the only goal in order for you to really have, I guess, a long-term success, in my opinion. Because I did it the other way and I had success, but the mind wasn't there to make it stick. So now I'm back at it with a different train of thinking or mentality.
Yeah. I struggle with when I get results, I stop.
Yeah.
Like I'll be the opposite. When I lose weight, I'll be like, bet. And then I like just go. Like I do get motivated.
Well, for chicken wings.
But yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm losing weight. This is awesome. I could probably eat more. And
eat more, right? Yeah.
It's just good. So, but I think I think Jay had a good point as far as changing your goals. Like even the goal not necessarily being losing weight, the goal being developing this new habit.
It has to be. Yeah. It has to be. And especially if you have an issue with weight loss or, like, I can't stress that enough. Like if you struggle with food addiction, like I believe I did, then you have to forget about losing pounds and have to think about just gaining new habits. taking away the old habits and work on saying no to everything that you said yes to previously.
Yeah. And I think it goes like we stated before that everybody on here is a father, right? And it's having a desire to be able to remain physically active even as they grow old. And as you get older, as we get older, that weight can weigh down on you more than it did in your 20s. And me being that I have daughters, man, I want to be physically intimidating to anybody that comes to my house for a long time.
Good point.
I just do. I just.
Your motives are all off.
Yeah, the motives are off. Right now, you just look cute.
That's just one of my motives. One of my motives is to be able to open the door and just to any young gentleman comes to my house can understand.
I hope as soon as he opens that door, he looks you right in the eye and says, "Praise the Lord, Mr. McGee," and knocks you off your
everything off. Like,
exactly. Like exactly. Just start speaking in tongues and laying hands on you.
One of the things that is important to me, man. That's just, oh my gosh, I have daughters. It's just that's goodness. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting.
But Brian, Jason said you recommended to him not to get on the scale. Now I get on the scale every day, even though I don't work out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about.
I just be curious, like where we at today?
Why do you do?
What progress we made today?
The reason I say don't get on the scale, right, is because when you first start working out, then your body is going through this transitional phase to where some people may lose 10 pounds in the first 2 weeks. A lot of people's body doesn't respond that way. A lot of people will
come on
before they lose the weight. So a lot of people will start seeing differences in the way their clothes fit and won't see the difference on the scale. So I'm like, look, stay away from the scale because you're going to be making a whole lot of changes to your body. You're going to be killing it. You could be killing it physically and dropping inches. But the scale is not going to reflect that. May not reflect that for 3 to 4 weeks. You know what I mean? And then, but when it starts to reflect that, then it picks up steam and that weight drops fast. But for some people to see it on the scale, you're going to see it in the mirror. Trust that process. A lot of people see it in the mirror way faster than they ever see it on the scale. A lot of people look in the mirror and can see the difference before they ever see it on the scale. And that's cool. It's a true result. You just got to stick with it, man. Don't let the scale lie to you. And because if you let that scale lie to you, then you can be like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It can throw you off your game to where you feel like you're not making any progress when in reality you really, really are. You really are killing it.
Fred had a question.
Well, I got two questions. One of the first question I was going to ask the same thing Tech just asked you about the scale. So appreciate that. I guess like one of other than eating and exercise, another struggle that I have that my wife is getting on me on. I'm not a doctor person, and since we talk about health, like I'm not. It's embarrassing to tell you how long it's been since I got a checkup, been to the doctor. So, and I know.
I don't know if I'm not a doctor person either, man. It's one of those things where it got to be like. It has to be very
I gotta be dying.
For me to be like, all right, it's time to go to the doctor. You know what I mean? But not to say that you shouldn't. I think you should get regular checkups. But I'm not I guess I'm of the mentality where I do a lot of things to keep myself up, but I should get checked up regularly. I think everyone man should get checked up regularly. I think men have a harder time getting checked up than the ladies do. I think ladies are better at keeping their schedule. Now, some men are good at it, but overall, I think ladies can kind of like, make their appointments, go to their appointments, boop, bop, it up. Guys are just like, if my toe is not hanging off the phone, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Or like eyeballs popping out of your head. But I think Tech is you get checked up kind of like regularly, don't you?
I just started it.
You like all of that probing?
I just started. wanted to go to the doctor recently. It's this thing called the ostrich syndrome or the ostrich effect, and it is like, I could be murdered, but something about when ostriches get scared, they bury their head in the ground. But that doesn't remove the threat. And that's why I think like a lot of times people approach the doctor like that, like hear no evil, see no evil. We cannot go to the doctor, but that doesn't remove the fact that whatever is an issue is still there. Right. It's just that it gives us the opportunity to pretend like it's not there. Like one of the things that also helped me, like with glasses, like I had no idea that I needed glasses. I just thought that I didn't even know that the way I saw life wasn't clear. And
how long do you feel like you needed glasses now?
I probably needed glasses for a minute, probably for a good, I don't even know, because I was so shocked when she told me I needed glasses. I thought this was a scam. I was like, y'all are scammers. Y'all just trying to get everybody to. But then when she took the thing off and I couldn't see, I was like, oh, shoot. I was like, oh, snap. I need glasses. So I think like doctors, I think you do got to watch them, because I think I should have. I just had experience with a doctor where I was trying to tell them that I was having an issue and they were not taking me seriously. And they were trying to tell me I had asthma, and I was trying to tell them it's not asthma. Come to find out I had pneumonia. So, I mean, I think even when you go see a doctor, you do have to advocate for yourself and your health. But I think that's important for sure, for men and women to see doctors. I think the assumption is that they're just going to put you on medication, just going to try to tell you some.
Or not wanting to go there and have to get on medication. You know what I mean? Like, not wanting to go there and be like, all right, I want you to, give you these prescriptions, and like Blunt said, get the probe in and all that. I mean,
But yeah, like blood pressure is another one. Like they used to tell me all the time, like my blood pressure is high. I mean, they never really go into detail like what that means. Of course, you're not supposed to have blood pressure, and then they wanted to give me blood pressure medicine. But I was initially so not. I didn't want to do it. I was so opposed to it, just because. But it's like, bruh, you just end up ignoring a problem that is actually there. And at some point, it's a scripture in Ecclesiastes. Tommy brings it up all the time, but it basically says, because man's evil deeds aren't punished immediately, they keep on sinning. And I think that's the same way, I think, with me and most people with health. You eat a cheeseburger or whatever, or you don't take care of your blood pressure or your cholesterol, there's not an immediate, like, boom. Right. And so it's
Taco Bell did the other day.
Unless you eat that horse meat, then there's immediate plop. But like, there's not an immediate consequence to that. But over time, it will, and you don't have a choice. You don't get to decide when that time comes.
Right. Hey, I got a question for you, Brian. I agree. What is the plausibility of someone eating healthy and working out regularly, right, 3 to 5 times a week, and after 3 months only losing 3 pounds?
Hold on.
I just cut that.
No. And this, I'm glad.
Wait. Hold on. Can you let him finish? Don't disrupt the guest.
Because
please don't disrupt the guest.
Let's get biblical, right? And you reap what you're sowing, right? So you if you're planting those seeds of health, then you're going to benefit health. You know what I mean?
Amen.
If you're doing it, then you're going to do it. Now, if you have consistently eaten healthy for 3 months straight, with physical exercise, then
I would like to add a caveat.
Oh wait, what'd you say? Well, I didn't catch the end of what he said though. You're lying.
Okay. I would like to add a caveat here.
Because I have seen Tech make huge physical changes. I remember Tech working at Gold's Gym, right?
Well, I'm
Booyah.
not calling any names though. I'm not saying
I probably can't say that, but we used to work out at that joint regularly, and man, Tech was dropping. Tech was looking like high school mumble sauce wings for books.
See, his mind was the same.
Yeah.
No, I would like to add clarity. And Brian, I know your gym personal trainer HIPAA will hold you to the truth.
Why are you calling HIPAA?
HIPAA law. Is it? I don't know. Somebody just used that word today. Here is the thing, and Jason knows this because he saw me. You can see that I physically looked like I had lost about 10 or 15 pounds. But while Jason was power walking, I was in the gym lifting every day and putting on muscle.
Brian, was I power walking?
Not have been lifting.
I know, but no, I should not, because we had a weight loss competition. But
Brian, did you have me on weights?
No, I didn't.
You didn't have me.
Thank you.
I put Jason on weights probably
the third month.
2-3 weeks. Yeah. So it was a schedule to where he was killing it with cardio and then started adding weights. So Jason was doing weights, but Jason was crushing.
He was doing cardio twice a day
lifting in the afternoon.
because we had an agreement. Whoever lost the most weight, what we should have done was body fat percentage, because my body fat percentage dropped tremendously.
Now let me ask you this, Brian: is it possible for a person who has only lost 3 pounds in weight total to compare to a person who has lost 44 pounds in weight and have less body fat?
No, it is not. That's
okay. All right. Here's the thing. All right.
It goes back to what I said. Physically, you can see the changes. So you were making changes. However, because you were in a weight loss competition, you should have focused on the.
Thank you. And that is what I said. But both Fred and Jason tried to say, no, that doesn't this. All right, no, since we have questions from Brian, I have another question for you, Brian. Can you ask Jason Blunt why he's scared to do it again? Do it again. Body fat percentage. Why won't he do it again? Why won't he do it again? And why won't Fred do it again?
I'm not doing it again.
Exactly. Tell him do it again.
Listen.
There were rules, because I remember getting the specifics of this competition.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I think, 2 things that were supposed to take place.
Yes.
Which one was financial, and then the other was a matter of dignity, and that was to shave your head bald.
Yes.
Let me find this picture. I did it.
Don't give me that.
No, you did. Don't
give me that.
Not shave your head bald on
live.
That video would still be in my montage. I was
let me show you, bro.
He did not.
He did not shave his head.
Let me show
Photo
you.
editing.
No.
This dude had a full high top the next week.
Yeah, he did. We saw him.
I'll
had a whole shape up. I didn't even notice. I was like, wait a minute. Go ahead.
Tech, you did not do that.
That's actually pretty good, though.
It's really good, right? It's perfect.
I did it.
Bald head lie, though. That is
It's perfect.
Look at me, boy. I did it.
It's perfect.
I was really looking forward to seeing your
exactly.
We was too.
That was huge.
All I'm saying is I'm the only one down to do it again.
But you never completed the first task.
You can't be down. You had to shave your head bald and then call for a rematch.
That's a good point. That's a good point, bro.
Yeah. I was cheated. We had bad
You were
rules.
cheated, bro. My level of competitiveness is crazy. You can't compete with my level of competitiveness. I will not eat for 3 months to win. Say it again.
How did Fred do? How did you do, Fred?
15 pounds.
That's pretty good. And
15.
and Tech, what was your ending result?
I lost. I was cheated. I know I did more than Fred. Okay.
No, you did, dog.
I did. I know I did more than Fred.
You saw the pic. I had a before and after picture.
I just didn't take pictures.
Tech knows, because going back to Go's gym and working there, he worked there for a while. Tech
I know. It's crazy.
you know, what is required to lose weight.
And that's the thing. And I did it. Okay.
No,
I came, I saw, I conquered.
The wings.
The wings.
I'll just say it. Let's do it again.
I ain't doing it.
All right. Well, it's all, I'll just say it. Let's do it again long term.
Bro,
exactly.
No, I think, hey, real talk, like what Jason said earlier and what Brian was saying, you know, like I've been quiet about it, but it's more of like, I think last year when we did it, my mentality was just to beat Tech. I wasn't even trying to beat Jason. It was just me and Jason had a secret pact, like we just cannot lose to Tech. And that was my mentality. So after I lost 15 pounds. I was very happy. Everybody noticed it. And then like I just started chilling. I was like, man, I beat Tech. We got that out the way. And I said, all right. So, but this year came back around and said, you know what? I love the way I felt. Like you said, Brian, like the way you feel during that time, like your clothes fitting, but all that stuff. And I say, you know what, man, like I'm gonna go back to it, but this time I just want to do it just straight. And that's part of the reason why I want to go into a competition, because I am competitive, and I know that my fear is to kind of just do it for the competition again, and then I start chilling again. I'm trying to make it a lifestyle. So this whole month, I'm really, you know, like me and my wife, like we just like we even down to our groceries, like we're very particular about what we buy, how we buy, and everything. I think the struggle is right now is just trying to get the exercise part in. But the eating part, like we've been doing good. But yeah, the competition, that's why I don't want to go back in the competition.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that you can do physically at home with no weights too. You know what I mean? So you know, just try to dedicate that some amount of time to doing at home workouts. You can, if you're in a house that has steps, you can lunge the steps, skip a step, each step, you know what I mean, coming up. You can do body squats, you can do burnout push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, bicep crunches, toe touches. You can do jumping jacks, knees, toes. You can planks. You can do hand, knee, elbow push-ups. It's a lot of things that people take for granted that can still be accomplished at home, and to still, you know, get results that you're looking to obtain. So, you know,
what do you do?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, good. I think, Fred, you can appreciate this one. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you do if you don't really work out? All you do is eat Morning Glory black bean burgers, and you be talking about you on a diet.
You can.
No, I don't just eat
Morning Glory.
It's so funny.
Why you put the whole brand out there?
I'm just saying, praise some Morning Glory.
No,
black bean burgers. He like, I changed my life.
No. That is part of it. It's weaning myself off of certain foods. But yeah. But go ahead, Brad.
But as you know already, the diet plays a huge aspect to whatever physical goal you have. Whether it be building muscle, there's a diet that can assist you in that. If it's mainly to lose weight, and there's a diet that can assist you in that. So it's having a balance to what your goal is. If you want to put on more muscle, then you're going to increase your protein and increase your carb. If you want to cut into the fat, then you're going to keep high protein and drop your carbs down. Eat more leafy vegetables. So and then balance those meals out throughout the day with 4 to 5 meals with snacks in between. So depending on what you're trying to accomplish, there's a diet that will help to assist you that and assist you in your workout that is geared towards that. So if it's mainly to lose weight, man, then jump rope, 30 minutes out the day. Do jump rope, get the jump rope, jumping jacks, run in place. Do that in intervals for 30 minutes throughout the day and keep your diet tight. You're going to drop weight. Period. I mean, if your diet is tight and you're doing some form of cardio, you're in a caloric deficit. To see if either you're in a caloric surplus to gain or you're in a caloric deficit to drop. If your body is not receiving the same amount of calories that it had yesterday for a continuous time, you're going to lose weight, period. You know what I mean? It's just remaining consistent with that pattern to do it, but it's going to happen. So if it is to lose weight, then keep, and if it's to burn fat, then minimize your carbohydrates. Keep your protein semi-high, between 1 to 2 grams per pound for protein, and with a lower level of carbohydrates, with a lot of leafy vegetables, and get you a jump rope and run in place. You know what I mean? It's so much that you can accomplish at home. I mean, those are just a couple of simple things, but there's a lot you can do. You can, if you tighten up your abdominals, there's so many assortment of different abdominal exercises that you do not need any weights for to get a tighter core. So whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, you can do it right now with gym's clothes.
Yeah. What I hear you saying is that an onion is a vegetable, but an onion ring is not.
Onion ring is not. No onion ring. Onion ring is not a vegetable, man. You can't have beef burgers with onion rings, man.
I don't know who that was for, but
there's a great Kool-Aid on the side.
I don't know who that was for.
Hey, what you about to say? I cut you off.
No, I was going to say ask Brian one more question. Like, what, going back to the home exercise, what I know sometimes when I try to do exercise at home, it doesn't feel like the same if I was at a gym on weights, or even if I got out and like ran. It's like, man, like I don't know. Like, so so I find myself working out longer to kind of feel like the same. I'm trying to chase a feeling, right? So like, what is efficient as far as, I would just say, to make it simple, like a length of time that is efficient for weight loss as far as working out at home?
Well, it won't until you make it. It won't feel like the feeling you feel in the gym until you make it. You know what I mean? And then it's going to make you better when you're in the gym, because now you have a tunnel vision about what you need to accomplish, and not about the motivation that's around you, right? One of the feelings that you get when you go into the gym is that you're surrounded with like-minded people who are trying to accomplish the same thing. Once you're able to achieve that mentality on your own and apply it to what you do at home, when you get back in that setting, it'll just make you better. It'll only make you better. So it's establishing the mentality now. So every time, like I work out at home, I have my own home gym, but every time I come in here with the mentality that I am going to come out of this better than when the gym's open. You know what I mean? It's like I have to. And because that's my mentality that drives my workout. So I have tunnel vision. Like I have my music loud, and I'm able to just zone out. Now, if you don't have weights, if you don't have plates, then you slow down the movement. If the exercise that you are limited to for your chest is push-ups, then you take your time and you exhaust that muscle by doing those push-ups 10 times slower, or slower than what you normally would. When you used to pumping out the push-ups quick, take your time, take 3 seconds to get to the top and take 3 seconds to get to the bottom. I guarantee you 10 is gonna feel like 50. And so it's manipulating the development. It's manipulating the muscles to believe that they're doing more than what they actually are. So that when you're doing those 10 push-ups slower than you normally would, 50 is gonna be easy. 60 is gonna be easy, because you built that muscle by pre-exhausting it and causing more strain on it. So you have to get in the mindset when you're working out at home, I'm about to kill this workout. And throughout that workout, have that mentality. And I guarantee you, these are some of the best workouts that I've had, because I've had to shift my mentality. Wow. I've had to put myself in that zone to where I had to be like, yo, I'm about to murder this workout. And because I know that I'm not exposed to everything that I'm privileged to have in a huge facility. So I put myself in that mental space where when I go back, I'm going to be 10 times better than when I left. And I stick to that. And these are some of the best workouts I've been able to have in a minute, because just because of where I put my headspace, where I put myself at mentally.
Man, that's good work right there. Anything closing statements? Anything anybody got? All right, Brian, this is my last question. This is a good question. This is selfish. This is just for me.
All right, here we go.
Even when I work out and I get into these moments of me working out, I never do abs. It sucks. Do I have to?
You should.
Okay.
Here's the thing about what people stray away from, right? Typically, the exercises that people dislike are the lagging areas that they have to, right?
Bro, that's not true for me though.
Oh, there's an argument there. But for example, somebody can be like, I hate doing pull-ups, but they have an underdeveloped back, or I hate to do whatever the exercise is. I think you should throw yourself into the areas where you're most uncomfortable, because those are what's going to help you become better and develop. People are so adjusted to doing those things that make them comfortable, that they're staying in this space that they're comfortable in, and never seeing any change or development, because what you're used to doing and what you're comfortable with doing has brought you to where you currently are. So it's not until you get outside of your comfort zone and what you're comfortable doing to where you're exhausting yourself, to where you're struggling. When you find yourself struggling to do a certain exercise or struggling to do a certain movement, stick with that, because that's going to make you better. That's what you're lacking. That's what you're missing. That's going to make you better. There are certain exercises that when I'm about to do them, I hate being about to do them, but I love that. I love the feeling of the difficulty that's about to take place, because I know that that's one of the things that I'm missing that's going to ultimately make me better. And so you have to put yourself into a position of discomfort. When you get to 10 and hate to do 11, then do 15. If you can do 15 and you hate thinking about doing 20, then do 25. Because it's when you put yourself in those positions, that is what's going to change you. You will never change by sticking to a place where you're comfortable. You'll just stay in this place that you've already arrived. So it's continually, the ability to continually make yourself uncomfortable will continually make you better.
Love that, bro.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, thank you, Pastor McGee, for coming through.
100%.
Blessing us. And maybe this is it. This is the conversation that brings me my Greek.
Your Greek physique,
my Egyptian. I don't know.
I want to
challenge.
Listen, since this is a fitness episode, you guys do your podcast what, daily or weekly or what?
Wow!
Just asking.
We do our little podcast.
All right, so this is my challenge to you, because I was going to say weekly, but I hate to be wrong. Then my challenge to you is to, starting tonight, to do 50 abdominal exercises.
I'm not doing it.
Come on, man. Listen. This is just do 50 a night until next week. To your next episode.
He's laughing because he can't imagine something on the floor.
You're not going to do it right along with me, bro.
Huh?
Jason Blood is not doing no 50.
Jason ain't doing Fred. You gonna do it, Fred?
Listen, I know you're not going to do it.
I'm going to do it 50.
Fred going to do it.
I'm doing it.
Fred might be the only one who will do it.
I
got one. And you can break in between, man. Do sets of 10. Do sets of 15. Let's get the 50.
I do that every night anyway, so it ain't not.
See?
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
That's the first lie I told on the show.
Easy money.
All right. Just Trying to Fake Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Join the conversations. Let us know what you think. The Trying to Fake Podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. You can find us everywhere where fine podcasts like these are found. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe. Brian, I mean, you can go to his Instagram. Brian, what's your Instagram?
BMac, MoFit, and Mr. Investor.
BMac MoFit. Ask him a bunch of fitness questions. Ask him about personal training.
Yeah, don't ask me. Yeah, I'm not. Don't ask me to. Yeah.
Don't run from your calling, bro.
Great instructors.
All right, well, you guys be blessed, and we